everyone. Welcome back to Digital Assets Daily. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, wherever you are in your corner of the world. I meant to add this into the other day's video when I was discussing Ripple and Stellar over in the UAE, and I'm just going to add it in onto this one because it kind of goes with the discussion in this sense of how even through all of the beatdown, as what I call it, of the SEC on Ripple and XRP, they're still growing. But the National Bank of Egypt and Lulu International Exchange connect through Ripplenet to elevate remittance experience into Egypt. So the NBE, the National Bank of Egypt, which is the North African country's largest bank, through Ripple's global payments network, Ripplenet, the NBE, is connected with the UAE-based financial service provider Lulu International Exchange. So part of the Lulu Financial Group, and it's to process cross-border payments from the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, to Egypt. And again, that's, in the previous discussion, how I mentioned Ripple and Stellar actually, the way they're designed for the cross-border, wholesale and retail, etc. They were also like Sharia compliant, like certification, or certified. But that is another massive thing which allows and permits global usage. And again, cheaper, faster, safe, secure, much more efficient. And if you're an investor who's been around for a little while and you've had to use that, XRP or XLM, specific XRP in this instance because it's the discussion, but had to send from exchange to exchange, exchange to wallet, wallet to exchange, etc. It's very fast and the fees are so minimal, it's not necessarily noticeable. Unlike if you're sending, Bitcoin or Ethereum, it can be very expensive. So if you have to send, just think of this, if you have to send something where you need BTC or Ethereum, my point is my thought, I guess you could say, is to make sure that exchange has both of these assets. Just send them XRP, convert back once you're there. You're not going to pay the extreme fees of Ethereum or the ERC20 tokens, and you can, exchange back for your XRP. I always make sure that the exchanges have, XRP, XLM, Ethereum, and Bitcoin as needed. So a lot of exciting stuff going on. When I think of exchanges, I start thinking of USDT and USDC. And if you had to use that very much, it can be very expensive. Even USDT, if you're sending from exchange to exchange, it's very expensive. So what I tend to do again is like the previous statement that I just shared, is using XRP or XLM and sending to the exchange and converting it over as needed to minimize, if not eliminate, the majority of the fees. But in this article, what effect would Tether being a complete fraud have on cryptos? And into the article, where it states Tether is the first stablecoin, which is a digital currency that endeavors to maintain parity, a peg, with its counterparty instrument, the US dollar. So one Tether USDT equals one USD. It's a fixed stable coin, and there are different types of stable coins. But there is a constantly varying degree of slippage around this and any other stable coin. Tether is the third largest digital currency by market cap at around 63 billion USD. And note that keep calling Tether a digital currency and not a cryptocurrency. This is because there is no Tether blockchain and USDTs are not mined. They're minted. So ostensibly, Tether receives USD from depositors and then mints a corresponding amount of USDT and puts that into their depositor's account. And into this article, it's stating this is where everything gets funky. The depositor then takes the USDT. I'm going into this a little bit more detailed because there's so many new investors that are always asking this kind of answers a few different questions all at the same time. So the depositor then takes the USDT on whatever ecosystem they're in these days, mostly Ethereum or Tron, and begins moving it around to where they want it to be. So they can buy Bitcoin with it or Ethereum. They can stake that USDT into myriad decentralized exchanges, the DEX, and platforms like SushiSwap, Aave, etc., or even stake it into more complex yield farms and liquidity pools like Yuan, Curve, Compound, et al. So they can earn yield on that, and more yield they can be earned out in the legacy world, like 5, 7, and percentage gains. And with some more complex DeFi strategies, you can get above 10%. If you want to go full degen, short of degenerate, you can ostensibly bag APRs in the triple digits. So contrary to Bitcoin or Ethereum, where we know the provenance of every single unit, we don't know anything about Tether. And then, this article has a little bit of a length to it. If you're interested to go into a lot of the details and the full article, feel free. As again, every video that we do, the article link will be available in the description below. And right here is where I'm going to end from the article and just get into a quick thought. A lot of the discussion and frustration with investors are in the fact that Tether at any given moment could, for lack of a better word, just tank. As most people have, found out or shown that Tether, though it's supposed to be the perfect 1-to-1 to the US dollar, is a very minimal percent of true backing and supporting with that. So the statement that a lot of discussions have led into is if you connect USDT to Bitcoin, it's very significant. So the statement was, if USDT was affected, it would significantly affect BTC. And the thought on that is, if BTC is not being propped up by USDT and had a level playing field, then a lot of the alts would completely launch up into a significant range of that, the volume that it's being sent to BTC. So you'd see a lot of altcoins getting much, much more significant volume. And I know once we have regulations, there's going to be good, there's going to be bad. But I do believe it is going to fall under that Ripple test. And if you follow us closely, we're just going to start using that because, as we have said and shown and shared for the past few years, Ripple being the standard. And I think this lawsuit is going to be a much more significant burning of that into the industry, of stating that what Ripple is going through right now, if you're a new asset, you might want to prep yourself, because most likely the SEC is going to come after you with the same energetic ambitions that they're facing with Ripple right now. So you might want to just go ahead and prepare for that if you are an exchange, or if you are, exchange, I mean, in the sense of Coinbase, the discussion we had. But if you're an asset, prepare to get this same fair treatment that Ripple and XRP, the scrutiny that they're under at this current moment. I believe they're going to come through this like a knight in shining armor. And that's where they're going to become physical standard for all of crypto. And everyone's going to get hit with that same scrutiny that they're going through right now. So pay close attention and take great notes if you're involved on these assets and on these companies and exchanges. So China's digital yuan puts Ant and Tencent in an awkward spot. And we've done, since 2019, we kind of started, and I'll admit it's been a little hectic to finish, just with the limited time that I have. But I had a Ripple connections kind of a series, and we share that on our Patreon exclusively there, just as an extra, thank you to those who are supporting us. But if you're there, you've probably seen all of the videos. I think we're on 4 or 5. We have about 1 or 2 more videos, kind of a 2-year spot behind. But I think just for the timeline of this channel, we're going to get that finished. And I believe we'll have it finished before this summer's over. It's just an additional exclusive video we're posting on there showing all of the connections to Ripple. And we're always tossing in, obviously, where Stellar pops up as well. So we've shown a lot of connections with Ant and Tencent as well, connecting to Ripple and Stellar. So a lot of good content, and have tons and tons of files of information on both of those and both assets as well, on all their connections that I haven't even had a chance to discuss. We might do a couple of videos in the future, and maybe we'll just label them. I don't even know what to label that, old content or older information that we've never shared, or something to that effect. But getting into the article, Jack Ma's Ant has quietly run pilot tests using digital yuan, and it's even more risky to stay on the sidelines, says one observer. So as China moves closer to rolling out its new digital cash, there are concerns the government will track every transaction, not just of citizens, but of foreign companies in the country. And USJ travels to Chengdu to see the money revolution in action. And I mean, that's pretty much good enough. The article really just kind of repeats that over. But I think that's the concern with a lot of people and a lot of countries globally, and their leaders as well, or they're concerned that China is just going to track everything, even if, like, US American or, British or Brazilian, wherever you may be, if you're visiting China or even using the digital yuan in your country, that their concern is that you would be tracked there as well. So countries representing over 90% of global GDP are exploring CBDCs, and governments around the world are pouring more resources into CBDC research and exploratory use cases among the major economies, and China appears to be pulling ahead and has plans to implement digital yuan usage during the 2022 Winter Olympics in Beijing. And I'm not sure if you're watching those already. This morning they had skateboarding on. I believe it started around 9 o'clock or so a.m. EST. And they had the Olympic skateboarding. I believe it was men's street this morning. So the Caribbean region is home to all 5 CBDCs that are currently in use, with the Bahamas, St. Kitts and Nevis, Antigua and Barbuda, St. Lucia, and Grenada, all implementing their digital cash systems. And we've shown a lot of these as well, and their direct connections back to, like, Hyperledger Fabric, IBM, and Stellar as well. So I think the CBDCs are probably going to come up with the digital currencies, the stable coins, and I think they're going to intermingle and kind of support one another. And again, we already know that Stellar being the network and Ripple being the cross-border for, like, the wholesale enterprise institutional level, and Ripple, or I should say Stellar, focusing more on the retail, unbanked, and underbanked side of things. So this is stuff we've discussed before, and I want to say thanks at Dr. Bones67 for sending me that article. Now, Asia's liquid exchange adds USDC on Stellar as global stablecoin demand jumps, and during the Q1 2021, 869 billion USD in stablecoin transactions occurred globally, making it the category with the highest transaction volume and demand during that time frame. And data from Chainalysis showed that as of July 11, USDC had a peak of 26.4 billion in global circulation, with 832 billion USD transferred on chain, according to Circle data. Now, through Stellar's network, users could move their value in seconds rather than minutes to maintain better liquidity of their assets, the company said. And again, that's something we support 100% and vouch for the exact same. So Asian cryptocurrency exchange platform Liquid Group Inc. and Stellar Development Foundation, SDF, announced its joint venture to provide USDC issued on Stellar via Liquid's exchange for faster and cheaper transactions, the company said on Tuesday. And my input on that is, I would not be surprised if we see many of the exchanges, if not all of them, phase out the ERC20 USDC and move over to the Stellar network, as it's so much faster and so much less expensive. I think it's kind of been a bitter pill the past year as the fees just continue to rise with the Ethereum and ERC20 tokens. I think overall it was a great system, except for it's not that fast. It can't move the same transaction per second, and it can't even compete, not even a little bit, with the price and fees. So why a 39 million USD ICO chose Stellar over Ethereum? So we look at Ethereum like AOL or MySpace, and that's how Mobius Network co-founder and CEO David Gobot explains why his startup ran its initial coin offering, the ICO, on the Stellar network instead of Ethereum, the most popular blockchain for token sales. So the comment underscores the growing interest in some corners of the crypto community for faster and cheaper payment rails as Ethereum, like Bitcoin, struggles to scale. So Mobius announced Thursday that it has raised 39 million USD in the ICO and one of the larger recent token sales and the largest by far on the Stellar platform. So the company accepted only Stellar's native currency, Lumen's XLM, in exchange for its own token, known as Mobi. And according to Mobius, the sell hits 39 million USD hard cap after only 2 hours. 2, selling 35% of the total 888 million Mobi tokens. So congrats to the Stellar and to Mobi as well. And I think the Mobius network and David Gobot is going to be very happy moving into that future, knowing the scalability is so much more significant. And guys, remember, this is not financial advice. It's for entertainment purposes only. And as always, before we go, I want to leave you with a final thought. Be strong now, because things will get better. It might be stormy now, but it can't rain forever. Much love to each and every one of you. I can't do it without you. And I want to say thanks to Surfmeister, our VIP on Patreon. You guys have an amazing rest of your weekend and your evening, and we will catch you in the next one.